What's good, squad? Welcome to the corner. It is your girl Kaylee, and we are back with a good topic today. It is surrounding that good old topic of closure. We can get into the maturity of it, we can get into the toxicity of it, but we're gonna talk about closure in all aspects. We're gonna teeter-totter around. And today I have one of my mentees, one of my little sisters here with me today, the real Beyonce is with us on this good Saturday. So Beyonce, hey girl, tell us where you from, what you do, what's you got going on.
Okay. Hey y'all, my name is Beyonce. I'm from Indianola, Mississippi. I graduate next month from Delta State University with my bachelor's in social work. Um, and I don't know what else I should say. I don't know.
So Beyonce, she is one of those people who just found me randomly, but we have definitely connected on so many levels. And sometimes I feel, and this episode is definitely going to be a self-reflection. I'm looking in the mirror because when I see her, I see younger me, but I also see some things that I could have done a little bit differently that she's walking into. So we're gonna get into that in just a second, but I'm gonna treat her just like all of my my normal guests, and we're gonna get into little icebreakers first. So you ready for these icebreakers?
Okay.
Okay.
You
So
didn't tell me
it's
what they were,
normally
y'all, so I don't know.
look, they should know by now. It's a little bit of this or that, but we're gonna focus on, you know, this particular tone. So, would you rather have hard truths or comfortable confusion?
Hard truths.
Okay, okay. Like give it to me straight. Don't sugarcoat nothing. I get you. I get you. Now
Okay.
I know we are in tune with our ourselves and the angel numbers and things, and just being heavily intuition based. Which one of these numbers speak to you the most right now? 555 or 111?
I recently saw 555, so I'm gonna say that one.
So that
And
means
that was
change
like
is coming. Change is
mhm.
coming. I like that. I like that.
And I never
Okay,
see that
okay.
one, so yeah.
Look, it's always good when you do. And we have to sometimes equip ourselves to embrace change. For those who don't like change, that's kind of like your tap on the shoulder, like pay attention, something is about to happen, get prepared for it. Let's see. Are you more likely to trust your intuition or signs around you? And with the tarot cards and numbers and patterns, that would be that
Mhm.
realm.
I mean, since I do tarot, like I feel like it's a combination of both. Like it's like stuff that you can't ignore. I will say that my intuition is much, much, much more like discerning than it
Hmm.
has ever been. So usually I just kind of stray away from things.
Okay.
Because I don't need no drama or no confusion.
That intuition be speaking. And then, like I said,
Mhm,
that when you see the numbers and the patterns, those are just more
mhm,
your emotional awareness. You're aware that it
mhm,
is happening. So you are being
mhm.
able to follow that intuition. So cool beans. Last one. Would you rather read the text message or read the energy first?
The energy never lies.
Mm. People be telling on themselves, I swear.
I mean, yeah, you can tell people are, bothered or got stuff going on and they really don't know how to communicate that. So it comes off as awkward. So
hmm Yeah, so yeah, definitely. Okay, so we warmed up now. We warmed up, right? We good? We
yeah,
ready to get into this? Okay.
I'm ready.
Closure can happen in so many spaces, and I want to start with family first. So, starting from
Mhm.
home before, you even get into different relationships, what did family teach you about love, boundaries, and when to just kind of let go?
I think because my experience is probably different from most people. I was raised by my grandparents, and my great grandma, like like different generations of women. So
Hmm.
having like women who grew up like with a whole lot of love versus on the other side, someone who grew up with tough love. And I grew up like with older people. So I feel like the way maybe how you was raised is how I was raised. I know people always say like our generation. I really could be
Yeah.
a millennial because
You old soul for real.
also um but I feel like love and like it was never just a one-way street. I feel like I have so many people to draw from that I learned how to take stuff and leave things. So
Okay.
I learned how to take what I thought was good. I would say that like what I think is good. I took those things and I embodied them myself. And the things I didn't really agree on, I was like, okay, I'm not really gonna implement that into my life. But I did notice it. I clocked it, and I would like speak up about it. I know some people couldn't do that, but yeah, like I learned from a young age that like and I believe that all in all that everybody loved me, but they loved me in their own way. What they thought
Yeah.
was the best way to show love, and like I appreciate it now more than ever. Like getting older, it's like okay,
Okay.
I understand where you coming from.
Well balanced and having emotional intelligence at an early age, that's what I see in you. Like you're able to clock it. It was just about learning more on how to say this is for me and this is not.
Mhm,
So you're able to acknowledge everybody's way, but
mhm.
you get to choose where it's placed, right?
And that's interesting that you say that because I did not feel like that. I always felt like I was kind of behind. I don't know. I kind of felt like I was older than what I am. So like when people tell me, "Oh, you're so mature for your age," and I was like, "Well, how do you expect a 24-year-old to act?" Like like what are people doing? Like what were you doing at 24 that made you like? Because like I always felt like, oh, like I need to get better, or I'm my own worst critic, and I think that comes from me also being a Virgo. So sorry for people who
Yeah.
don't like like astrology. Like I feel like I overanalyze a lot of things, or I analyze things. I'm deep in self reflection.
Definitely. So let's take it a step further. So learning those family values and then interacting with friends. So, and
Mm.
we meet friends in all stages of lives. They don't always stay. Some people are in your life for a season, right? So when friend breakups, we know they can hurt just as much
Ooh.
as romantic ones, right? So what did you learn about outgrowing people without it turning into a bitter state?
Because it used to like be so bad and end off like badly, or I didn't want it to end. I would always try to fix things. I always felt like, and I think that's a part of like, even like my upbringing, like I always felt like I had to kind of like mend things or try to fix everything because it has to be something that I can fix, I can change. I think the biggest thing I learned is that, it's okay to outgrow people. And, like I said earlier before we started like recording, like sometimes closure can be like different things. Like, am I asking for closure because I need it, or do I really need closure from this situation? Would it
Mm-hmm.
be best
Mm-hmm.
of us if we just depart and if I see you doing well, maybe coming in hearts or anything like that. It doesn't always have to be like negative or anything huge. It doesn't have to always be like I would say like a ceremony or any type of like
Yeah.
coming to terms with someone. But like some friendships, like the ones that you have been in for years, and you see is not benefiting you or them. I'm more than people like if I'm miserable or if I feel bad or like I probably like try to take a step back from some of my relationships so I can like really just tend to me because I would hate to like get inside somebody else's energy and I'm not feeling like myself or I'm not
Mm.
bringing my best self. So I would like to just, take a step back from certain things. Doesn't mean forever, but it's okay to outgrow people.
Definitely. I think that's where I see the similarity within us because looking back at family situations as well as friendships, I have been that person to want to make it work, but you have to realize in a lot of relationships you can't always be the only one willing to make
Mm-hmm.
sacrifices and compromise. They will have to do the same. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, when it comes to just disassociating myself, not meaning that it's bitter, I just find that there isn't a commonality in us trying to make it work anymore. So if it brings more stress to me, or me changing who I am more, and me chasing after you more, then that's a discomfort for me. So I'm okay with stepping back and watching you flourish and figure you out uh, while I do the same.
Um, I feel like when you spoke about family, I feel like in our like in the Black community, especially like I grew up in a household that was like like you don't have any friends, it's just family, and like I would always seem to bump head with family. And I felt like that's because we had so many differences and similarities that we really couldn't see. Sometimes you become your parent without knowing you're your parent, or you
Mm-hmm.
become these people that surround you and they build this person with this strong will, or somebody who's gonna spitfire. You have a spitfire teenager in the house and she just continues to like pop off because she gonna question everything and you're not really used to that. So when it comes to family and you really want to, you feel like you're the one in your family that has to mend things, and like you realize that it becomes very tiring trying to do that, and it becomes
Mm-hmm.
exhausting. And I think one thing that I learned is that I was go I was going to speak my piece, and I was going to be at peace. If that meant that I don't talk to you, but love you from a distance, even
Mm-hmm.
family. Even I
Mm-hmm.
know some people don't like that, no, 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 no. Just when you create your boundaries, and it goes both ways. Like my life has changed so much since I was just like, you know what, I don't have to do this. And it doesn't have to be like a big old thing. Cause I felt like in the past when I would get so angry and like mad and not really know how to really like, I didn't have the language. I didn't have the
Yeah.
language to really communicate what I want to say. But when I
Yeah.
started to really like sit down and really just think about it and like was able to express myself in the moment where I don't get angry and I could just be like, okay, Beyonce, you see the signs of like you becoming triggered. Now you need to like learn how to like move past this and just being like, I love you. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna take a step back. And I felt like that's when I got the most respect, or like
Right.
people would listen to me. And like I was just so like I used to hear people say it all the time. But when I actually started really like catching it, I was just like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
take a step back, and I love you if you need me. But I got more respect by, especially from family. I feel like that's when I really started to see a change.
Yeah, so then it's less about assimilating and acclimating to what is around you, but you setting those boundaries for yourself.
Mhm.
So let's go a little further into the relationship realm you mentioned earlier, which is always the thing. Do people really need closure? Are they looking for closure? Are they looking for permission or a way to re-enter a situation?
I mean, we gonna be toxic. I mean,
Mm,
or if
talk
are we
about
gonna
it.
be, I feel like it can be both ways. I personally, I feel like for me, um, I don't really do that anymore because, like I said, I don't really care to continue to have um, relationships with people that I don't think serve me anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but if we're gonna talk about toxicity and
Come on.
okay,
Come
what's
on.
how it is, I feel like like I feel like certain people they will reach out to you or like just try to see like try to read your words. I feel like the way
Check the
people say
temperature.
things, yeah, check and see if you still available. I would feel check and see if you are still available. Or are you checked out? Any response is a response. I feel like, if that fling or that old relationship texts you and asks you, how you been, or Merry Christmas or Happy New Year. If they text you like that and you just looking at like, I don't know if I'm responding to this or not. They already feel like they got you. I got her thinking I'm I'm gonna try to get back
Let
in,
me
but
send a little update. I know she gonna
I
care
know.
about that.
Mhm. But
Yeah.
I sometimes I feel like in those situations, it just depends on what you want, or like what you think. Um, I think at first I used to be like one of those people or one of those friends that's like, like if he try to da 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 da. But now I'm more of like, you know, if you do entertain it, do it because that's something that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm gonna tell them like, being
Be okay with
available,
the outcome.
be okay with that. Be receptive because somebody shows you who they are or like what it is in the beginning. I'm pretty sure like in a couple months span, it's not really has changed much.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a firm believer in when you leave me, I'm not gonna be in the same place you left me yet. So,
Come on now.
um, clock it. But
Mm-hmm.
some people do it just to be toxic, and I feel like some people actually do, depending on how the situation ended, like maybe they do, care about you, or it could be an honest, genuine connection. I feel like the relationship depended on like, how it was. They probably feel bad about how it ended. And they kind of values you as a person. So, I mean, it'll
Yeah.
just depend on the person and the situation.
I agree. So there can people who there could be people who really want to hear if the person is going to be honest and give them a space to be honest. But then there are others who just want to see, like you said, check the temperature and see if you're available and there is no substance in it and it's just to draw you back
Mhm.
in. But for those situations where sometimes it's like I don't really know what happened, or maybe you could provide insight to this, but I also feel like when you're growing, a conversation isn't always necessarily needed.
Mm. When you grow, I feel like, or you're in that process of healing, whatever that may look like for you, like some things like that can be triggering um to the person. I feel like when some people reach out, it's all about me, me, me. But like it's okay to me, and I feel like it's okay to admit that sometimes we are ourselves like, worst enemy, and we are like we can also, we have I don't think some people think about the type of damage they can cause by reaching out or trying to talk. I know it's okay for like self reflection. Maybe you want to reach out to that person to like figure out like, what could I do better in my next relationship or my next friendship. But
Right.
sometimes, the damage is done.
Hmm.
And sometimes you just don't need that. Sometimes you just don't need it. You know, it'll come
I agree.
back. It'll come back, and maybe you like the more you grow, the more you'll realize things are uncovered. Like, oh, I could have did that better as a friend. I feel like I have that reflection a lot. Like I could have did that better. Maybe I'm not the best person I thought I was at that time, and that's okay.
Being able to self-reflect and own what you put out into it. So I agree. What made you learn to close the door sooner, like without waiting for a perfect explanation?
I feel like, and like I'm still young, so when I say it like this, I sound like I'm old when I say this, or older. I'm sorry, y'all. I sound like I'm older, but like so much of my life, I feel like I tried so hard to like get people to understand or get people to see where I was coming from and everything like that. And that was just met with a lot of disrespect and backlash. And I'm very sensitive, so I was like a whole lot of emotions and stuff that I had to work through. And then I was just like, I don't have to deal with this, honestly. And honestly, what made me start thinking about situations like this, I had seen the TikTok, y'all. And on the TikTok, the person was just like, sometimes you have to just act like it never happened because it never really did
Mm-hmm.
unless you allow it to. And I feel like that mindset can also be kind of crazy to some people. But depending on the situation, sometimes it's not. I feel like what it's saying is like it's not such a big deal. Everything doesn't
That
have to be a big deal or a big scene in your life. Things can
now,
just end.
me and you have talked about being in the fantasy world sometimes and that being the downfall. So idealization, idealization of it. Like, what was that particular moment for you that was like, okay, I don't really need to talk to make this decision for myself? Give me an
Uh,
example.
oh, not my okay. Um, I was having a relationship or whatever that was. I was having a situation with a person, and you know things were not going as planned, and or what I thought it could be. I felt like I had made up what I wanted this situation to be. I kind of tend to do that when it comes to my relationships because I kind of write out everything how I want it to be.
Hmm.
Instead of waiting and letting things play out and going with the flow, I'm very controlling when it comes to my life. I don't know
I'm
about
glad you
y'all,
know.
but I like to control certain aspects of my life, and everything that's in my control, I do control it. Okay. Um, but I was realizing that I really couldn't control this narrative that's and being so single for so long would have you like really being like, okay, like and it's more I became more content with being by myself. So I feel like it was like kind of like a no nonsense type of thing. And like instead of trying to work it out, I was just like, certain things were said that I didn't like. And I communicated that I didn't like it and I ain't see no change. So I was just like, after I communicated how I
Hmm.
should have, I didn't see a point of any more conversations with that person. Uh, I don't think people really like it when you when you can just disassociate. Um, so yeah, like I don't think it's the most healthiest thing to be like that, but I feel like it saves you a lot of heartache. Um, and being able to see things for what they are. I know some people choose to work through some stuff, and I'm practicing what I'm preaching.
Good.
I do want to be able to work through things like that, having a conversation with someone, but also doing it with someone that you actually do want to grow with. I feel like that's another thing, like understanding that every relationship is not a big relationship, that it's okay to date and
Hmm.
to
Learning
everybody that you meet ain't
process.
gonna be your part. Yeah, everybody not gonna be the husband, child. And everybody don't have the potential. And my favorite thing to do is like, God wouldn't bless me with that. So I'm gonna leave that alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to keep you too long. So I met you as a writer, a poet as well. So creativity, how did that develop as a form of therapy for you? And how do you think creativity works to helping your healing?
Hmm. Well, ever since I was little, ever since I was a child, I love to write. I love to read. I tell people sometimes that like my as a punishment when I was little, my mom and my grandma, they would take my books and
Hmm.
stuff away from me because I ain't have a phone. So I would get things that I like and I like to read and I like to write. So they would take things like that away from me. And that was kind of my outlet. I think that's kind of how the fantasy play came into
Hmm.
to the root for me. Like that was my way of like escaping and my way of like that was my way of like closing out chapters. So sometimes like when I have like big life events, still to this day, maybe I don't really use the pencil and paper anymore, but I do use my notes. I do use my notes to express myself, especially like if it's a friend breakup, maybe I don't say it to them, but I do say it to myself. And I do write it down. I feel like that's like it's an important like outlet and it's an important tool for me. Um, it's a good way to express yourself. Maybe this person reminds you of something. Maybe when you see this person, you think of your favorite flower. I will write about my favorite flower and
Hmm.
use this person to like talk about that. Like it's like different ways, but I feel like yeah, creative like it's a good way to have closure. Maybe you don't need to talk to that person, but you can provide closure
Get
for
it out.
yourself. That's who it's really for. It's for you. You don't need to provide closure for anyone else. It's for you. So, however you choose to cope.
I am in agreement. I can remember myself writing a lot when I was in high school. Like also if it was things that I needed to tell my mom, I would write it out. If it was things I needed to tell my friends, I would write it out. After breakups, I would write it out.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all be on the lookout for the X-Files. Yeah, be on the lookout for that. But definitely it can be therapeutic as long as you're able to vocalize it, make sense of it, write it out, make sense of it. That can be the best therapy for self.
I agree.
Okay, okay. So as graduation gets close,
Ooh.
it's getting here. And we're moving on to new phases in the work life, new dating things for you. So what boundaries and habits would you provide as your emotional standard for protecting yourself moving forward?
Hmm.
What is this version of Beyonce walking into?
I don't know, y'all. I'm confident though, even though I might not seem like it right now. Um, I feel like just knowing when I'm glad God has given me the gift of discernment and knowing you know, and I pray that He continues to lead me and direct me and offer me and continue to bless me with discernment to know when to move and when to stay still. Um, and I feel like that's it, like knowing when to move and when to stay still and
Hello.
to move people when they need to be moved. And no matter how bad it hurts, when you ask God to remove, it's coming. And when you ask God to reveal, just pray for the strength to be able to hear Him and just do what He say.
All right now. So I think the moral of this episode is sometimes closure isn't always that conversation. It's about the discipline. It's about the distance. It's about you deciding who you deserve to be and what peace you deserve for yourself. And is not explanations to anybody. It's about what you decide for you. I love it. I do. I do. So I think that's all we got for today, Beyonce. I'm so thankful that you decided to come on here and have a conversation with me. Let the people know where they can find you. Let them know if they want to get a reading from you, where
Okay.
they can find you.
Okay, so my Instagram handle is everybody loves Beyonce with threes. Um, my Facebook is Zinye Russell. I'm pretty sure she will tag me. Um, and you can just reach out to me anywhere. I feel like I'm open to
DM
any
her. She's good. She
DMs.
good at reading people energy.
I really am. So please, it's gonna be revealed. So I'm gonna know your intentions. So come ready. Okay.
All
Take
right,
a resume.
y'all.
And
Take
thank you
it.
so much, Miss Knight, for having me on your podcast.
Not a problem at all.
Especially
I
talking about
love
this.
self-reflecting with you guys.
Mhm. I hope you have me back. I'm open. So yeah.
You're always welcome. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one and enjoy the rest of your Saturday.